There's
Oh
some
my,
on my desk right now
no.
before we started this podcast. And I was
Oh
just like,
my God.
where did this come from?
Oh
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting
my, and,
chills. As soon as you said
oh,
that, I was like,
okay. So we cannot deny what it means now. Hey everyone, it's Holly Hall here. We've got an NDE story with Janine. You're going to want to hang in and listen to this one because she was able to connect with relatives on the other side. And if you're wondering, is there another side? These are the stories that you want to listen to. If you go back onto my channel and you see all of the other podcasts that I've done recently, you will see that there was one person that even has studied 2,500 NDE. Soon I'm going to have Raymond Moody on, who is the founder of the coined word NDE. And so we're going to talk to Janine now, and we're going to share with you her website as well, because she is a hypersensitive person. And I think many of us that are sensitive, that are remote viewers, clairvoyant, we're intuitive. These are all HP type people. We have these experiences and we're interested in these experiences. So, welcome, Janine, to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really, really well. Super happy to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming and sharing your story. It's going to be really important for people. Now, I'm going to just give everyone sort of a synopsis, but we want to hear the details from you. You were basically in a car accident. Sounds like I've been, people may not know this, but I've been in three serious car accidents my entire life. One of them would sound very similar to yours, but I didn't have a near death, miraculously, to be honest with you, in some of them. But you did. So, what happened in your story?
Yeah, so I didn't actually get into a car crash, but I was on the verge of it happening. And that's
Okay.
where kind of this whole story starts from. So I was driving along the highway, just like I would any other day.
Mhm.
Um, and I was driving relatively normal pace, going along, minding my business essentially. And I was driving, and all of a sudden, the cars in front of me came to like an immediate stop. And I was just like pumping the brakes, trying to stop my car. And I was looking at all my mirrors to see, like, okay, can I change lanes? Can I get out of this situation? And there was no way for me to get out of this accident. And I basically said to myself, like, I'm going to die. Like, this is the end. And I literally took my foot off the brake completely because I couldn't stop the car. I took my hands off the steering wheel. And when I did that, I literally felt a presence with me in the car that just grabbed the wheel and turned it out of the lane completely and just moved me across three lanes of traffic. And I was just hysterical at that moment because I'm like, how is my car moving? What's going on? Like, there was traffic all around me. There's no way that I could be getting out of this circumstance. And as I started to like glide across the lanes, like I turned to my right and I just saw like a vision of my grandfather. And I was like, oh my God, like he's with me. Like this is like I wasn't meant to get in this car accident and he's helping me out of it. And it was just such a moment of like, wow, like I've never had an experience like this before. And especially in a moment where like I literally said, like, I think I'm dying right now.
That's
And
it.
then I
Yeah.
wasn't, right?
You know, that reminds me of the most profound metaphor that's out there about life, and that is like let go of the wheel. Sometimes if
Yeah.
we just let go of the wheel of life, whatever is happening that we have such a grip on that we think we can control, when we're out of control, some other force, some other circumstance will come along and put you back on track again. Were you close to your grandfather?
I was really close to him.
Aw. So
Yeah.
how old were you when he passed away?
I was 17. 17. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And so did you always feel his presence around you?
I
Or were
did.
you?
I
You did?
have felt him before, but not in a circumstance of like where I needed help. It was more so I might just be doing things, going about my business, and I would feel his presence and know it was him.
Hmm.
Excuse me. But yeah, like that was the first experience where I was like, wow, like you saved me from death, essentially.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 23 when this
Okay.
happened. Yeah,
And have you felt his presence since then?
all the time.
So
All the time.
he's probably one of your guides, or your guardian angels.
I
Angel.
think so. I definitely think so. And I mean, like, I dream about him. I have like super vivid dreams as
Wow.
well about him. So yeah, I definitely think so.
Well, just to let everyone know, when we have this type of contact, this is my understanding in the work that I do. When I work with clients is when we have this type of contact where we dream a lot about someone who's passed on. The dreams are usually, and you can correct me if this is wrong in your situation, but the dreams are usually in present day. It's like this is what's happening right now. Like it's your car now, it's your house now, it's your situation now. If you were to be dreaming about him like when you were 5 and it was Christmas, then it's more like a memory dream. But when you're dreaming in present day, it is a visitation
Hmm.
of sorts. And I've had that with my grandmother as well, a couple of times soon after she passed away. And they are able to do that. Now, if they continue, and I'm having that with my father now as well. And my father passed away 2.5 years ago. So I'm still having the odd one, but they're getting like a bit further apart. I find that in the first 3 years to 4 years of someone passing, they are still kind of stuck and they can come and they can visit you. They're still more in the earthly plane, they're more comfortable there. But as time goes on, they tend to move on. But in your case, it sounds like this is like a soul family member of yours. And because you're already always close to him, I wasn't always super close to my dad. And this soul family member is wanting to stay in your soul family, which means no matter whether he's alive or not, he's going to be around you and you're going to be around him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. And, I kind of felt that actually from even when he passed away, it was like 3 days later. I'll share a story that I
Mhm.
was trying to go to bed at night and I could literally feel his presence in my room. And before I fell asleep, I literally just felt him like just touch my cheek and just like hold my cheek. And I felt like just so calm and just so relaxed. And I just knew like, okay, like you're going to be with me, even though you're not physically here. And it's kind of been like that ever since, to be honest. I would say maybe in the last few years, the dreams haven't been as vivid. He comes
Mhm.
every now and then, but in
Mhm.
the beginning, it was definitely vivid.
And they're very different. Like I said, I didn't have a close relationship with my father, but we did sort of reconnect in the last several years. And that doesn't mean that they're not part of your soul family.
Hmm.
Often, they have struggles, you have struggles, and you're going through it together in this game called life. But you can ask specifically for your situation, you can ask them for answers, even silly,
Hmm.
crazy answers. Like I tested it out. I was at my dad's house for about 4 months after he had passed, or getting things organized and whatnot, and helping my sister out. And I was in the grocery store, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna test this. I'm gonna see if he's like around me because he had just. It was only a couple weeks I was passing, and the passing was very sudden. He didn't expect it. So sometimes when that happens, they stick around even longer because they're still in shock. They're in that in between stage for a while. And so I was in the grocery store and I was looking for vegan cheese, and I was like, I don't know if this store is going to have it. It was kind of a basic store. So I said, okay, where is it? And he goes, well, don't give up. And I'm like, okay, is that me? Is that him? He goes, just keep going down this aisle. It's going to be to your right, right near the very end. And sure enough, it was there.
Oh my gosh.
Because it wasn't like it's weird when you get vegan stuff or healthy stuff, sometimes they're all in the same section, or sometimes they mix them all up into the other sections. So I couldn't find that there. And yeah, and there it was. And some of my dreams were very similar as well. And it's a great reminder because I even forget, that I can reach out and ask for that kind of support from people, other people, from the other side. It's not always like God or Jesus or source or downloads. There's a whole bunch of them out there wanting to do stuff. And one of the signals I get as well is that I find dimes everywhere, like in the
Me
most.
too.
Do you?
There's
Oh
some
my,
on my desk right now
no.
before we started this podcast. And I was
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
where did this come from?
Oh
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting
And
chills. As soon as you said
oh,
that, I was like,
okay. So we cannot deny what it means now.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is absolutely amazing. We were, but what I never, that I had heard years ago that if you find dimes, that means it's somebody passed on, hello, giving you a message or whatever. But I'm always like, who is it? I'm like, you might know because you have like a specific person that you're connecting with, but I don't really have a specific. I don't know, about five people that have passed on. Three, maybe four, I might think might connect to me. But I'm like, I don't know why they would. I wasn't super close to them. So, and I'm always like, what's the message? And then recently, I was asking for like an answer to something, and I said, give me a sign, My husband knows that we find dimes. My daughter finds dimes in weird places as well. And then my husband just pops over, like within a few hours, just pops open his hand. He goes, look at this. I'm like, where did you find that? And he goes, it was on the floor between the kitchen and the bathroom. And it was pure silver and it had this fish on it. And it's a very rare dime. It's actually worth about, not much, but it's worth about $50. If it was another time, they only made them in 1 year in our centennial year here in Canada. So I was like, okay, that's my answer. Got it. But another crazy one is I had a friend pass on. I only knew her about a year prior to her passing. It was expected. And when she had passed, I went to her funeral and I said, okay, show me if you can hear me, if you can know what's going on here, show me two dimes in a very rare place, like an odd place, and I want them touching each other. I was very specific, right? And I only told my husband. And he's not a prankster. Like he wouldn't like set this up just to he probably would forget about it, to be honest with you, until it happened. So then the next day he goes, Holly, get in the truck. I'm like, what? He goes, just get in the truck. And I'm like, okay. He goes, look down. And I'm looking down, but from my angle, I can't see it. And I said, I don't see nothing. He goes, okay, you got to really look down and then slightly like look in the corner of the mat. So tucked underneath the mat in the corner was two dimes stuck together.
Oh my
How to
gosh.
see where the story's going. And he could see it from his angle, but I couldn't see it from mine. And I'm like, okay, hi, Lisa. You're here. That's her name. And so here we are having this conversation, and there's a dime right there. So there's two messages there. One is for you, since we're talking about your grandfather, whenever you see a dime, that's him.
That's
Uh,
so true. Yeah,
it's him. And you can ask, like, do you have other people very specific that have passed on?
I do, but I feel like I know what the signs are that they send. But I
Oh, okay.
constantly see the dimes and I was kind of wondering like, what is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you know. Now you know
Yeah.
the story. So with your now, how long ago was the accident?
That was over 10 years now.
Oh,
So
wow.
about 15. Yeah, 15
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
And so did anything change after that? Like your perspective on life, your attitude, your anything like that?
Yeah, everything changed after that. I felt that at that point in my life, actually, my mother had just passed away as well. A year and a half before that had happened. And I was kind of like, like really going through the motions of healing from that, etc. And when this accident, well, when the near accident happened, I was like, okay, I feel that just like what you said, like I really need to look at my life, change lanes essentially with where I was going in life. Um, and I felt that after that, like everything changed, just how I viewed life, how I viewed my own journey, just things that I wanted to essentially like look at in a deeper way in my life. And I felt that like everything that I've done pretty much since then, it's like very, very intentional. Like I'm just looking into things a lot deeper than I would have
Yeah.
prior to that. And I think that that kind of like spawned my whole healing journey. Um, from that point, essentially. Just
And what
like,
was your healing journey? Like what did this
yeah,
heal?
Oh my gosh. There was a lot of pain that was, from when my grandfather actually passed away. We were really close, and I felt like there was just so much emotions. There was just, feelings of even like abandonment that had come up after my mom passed away. And there were so many things going on within my family as well at that time. And like, I just really realized like I had to focus on myself and
Hmm.
just really look at all the things within me that needed to be addressed. And I think that that's where it started because I was just like, okay, here's this incident that like I didn't see coming. And then I'm almost dying. And then all of a sudden I'm like, this made no sense. Like, how did this happen? And I even remember specifically, I don't know why this always pops up into my head, but when I had looked in all the mirrors in the car and I'm like, there's cars everywhere. There's no way that I could have changed lanes safely. Like I would have hurt somebody, essentially. But the way this worked out, it was as if the entire timeline was shifted. And that aspect like has stuck with me ever since. Like the fact that I can shift my timeline and I can shift things in my life.
So when you
Um,
stopped, like where
mhm.
where were you? Were you
I
still
was
just
no,
driving along after, or did you stop
no.
somewhere?
So essentially, when the car moved across the three lanes, it was right to the off ramp. So I literally was off the highway. And then I came to the stoplight at the end of, like, when you go off an off ramp, there's
You
usually
must have
like a
been shaking
stoplight.
in your boots.
I was shaking, I was crying. Like, I was just like, what is happening? And then when I had gotten to that stoplight, I just pulled into a parking lot that was just off the highway in a
And take a
plaza.
big breather.
Had a mini
Get a
breakdown,
Starbucks.
essentially.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And so did you tell anybody?
I told my dad, and he was just kind of like, "What? Like, what are you even talking about?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had told my partner as well, and I mean, like, he totally believed what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those were the only two people I mentioned it to.
That is amazing. And so now you have a business, a website. Can
Mhm.
you share that? And was this spawned from this experience, your healing journey?
Yeah, definitely. And I even think the reason I ended up starting my business was also like, I guess you could say that this incident really pushed me to discover more about myself, discover what I was really interested in, discover where I want to go with my life, essentially. And like my business is, I guess you could say, to support others on their healing journey. So I provide gemstone-based products, I do Reiki, sound healing, and various workshops in the community about self-love, self-care, and just supporting others. So I really feel that a lot of the things that I got into after this experience were kind of woven into my business. I mean, I was always into crystals, into different types of healing modalities, but I really dove into it after this experience.
Well, yours is called mindfullycreated.com and indicating, I would think, that you are creating your products with mindful intention.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what can people expect to not only see or get from your website, but what is the intention behind it? Do you put Reiki energy into it, healing energy into it? Do you know what they want it for? So you work with it that way? How do you
Yeah,
share with
so
people your healing around it? Yeah.
everything is mindfully created, essentially, just like the website states.
Yeah.
Something that I really believe in is really supporting others to embrace their journey, whatever that's been, and give them the space to share that. So when I work with community through workshops, there's always that option to share. There's always that option to bring their story to the forefront of everything. And then I kind of guide folks to, like what products could support them with wherever they're at in their journey. I always find that I find the people that need me and I need them as well. So there's always this
Ooh,
like exchange, right? That
yeah.
happens. And I think that's a really big highlight for me that, although I started the business out of my own journey, I'm supporting others and they're supporting me too. So there's that exchange that always takes place.
And what's your favorite thing to create?
Oh my gosh. I love making gemstone bracelets. I mean, like that's where the business started. I started with making gemstone bracelets, and then it kind of morphed into making gemstone-based perfumes and providing gemstone packs to support people. So I would say like that was like my first love, making gemstone jewelry, but now I really, really enjoy providing Reiki for folks. That's definitely what brings me so much joy, and it's just so great to see others, really embrace themselves and really embrace their healing as well and, be gentle with themselves as they go through that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I would say those two things yeah, they bring me a lot of joy.
So I want to share with my audience. Many of you may not have figured this out yet, but Janine and I know each other for a while. And because she's been working with me for a while as well. Would you mind sharing your experience about how we met and what your experience is like through our interactions?
For sure, yeah. So, oh my goodness, I can't even remember how many years ago this would have been, but a friend of mine actually recommended you.
2020. I'm just
Oh,
looking it up. 2019. 2019 in
2019.
November was your first session with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first session, but I had heard about you before that from someone
Oh,
else. Yeah, so I knew that I would be coming to you. I just didn't know when. But anyways, so yeah, you've done so many amazing readings for me. And I remember the very first reading that you did. I believe it was one of the 1 hours that you do.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was just eye-opening. It was so eye-opening for me because I think at that point it was like I knew some of the things that were happening in my life. I knew where I wanted to go with it, but what you provided was just that confirmation. The confirmation that like I'm on the right path. These are the options that I can take. These are the roads I can take. And I just loved that you provided dates. Dates for different things like to look out for, to keep in mind. And like that really helped to guide a lot of the things that I was experiencing because I just kept those dates in mind. And then, kind of just like said to myself, like, okay, like this was the date. I should
Yeah.
really, like pay attention and just like tap in on that day. And all of the readings that I've had with you ever since, they've all been spot on, to be totally honest with you. They've
That's
been really
awesome.
spot on. And it's really helped me to kind of have like I guess you could say groundwork for whatever it is that I'm asking. So I know I've asked a lot about like career stuff,
Hmm.
relationship,
Hmm.
health, things like that. And like, I always have this like intuitive sense of what the answer might be, but it's like that confirmation is always everything that I need in that moment. So,
I find that a lot. And sometimes I can even see it when a client like asks for a 10-minute, 15-minute reading, which are just mini readings that I email, and you get a bunch of those as well. I'm just looking at how many I think I'm losing count. Like you probably connected with me over 20 times in
probably,
the
yeah.
past several years. And yeah, and I'll know right away. I'll be like, you know the answer to this. And they'll write back and go, you're right, I did. I just needed confirmation. Plus, I don't just say yes or no. I
Hmm.
give details of why the yes is a yes or
Yeah.
why the no is a no. And in all areas, like if you're asking a question, there's the question itself has a backstory. There might be people involved and they have a backstory as well. So I usually kind of wrap all that together and go, this is why it's a no. But ultimately it's your choice.
Hmm.
And sometimes there isn't a yes or no. Sometimes it's like, yeah, just go along this path and you're gonna get to your yes,
Hmm.
or you're going to get to your no. Because sometimes people are, should I quit my job? And
Exactly.
I'm not sure. Should I keep this job? And I'll be like, no,
Hmm.
but it won't happen until next February,
Yeah.
that type of thing. And yeah, and a lot of times that's the way it works out because they'll be like, no, I want to leave now. Like, no, you won't. um, that's awesome. And yeah, so with your work that you do, and I know that I've helped you out with that. You are a healer. I've seen that right away when I worked with your chart. And what she's referring to, Janine's referring to, is the very first time I do a reading with somebody, I talk about just you for about 10 minutes, about your childhood, your upbringing, and all the different parts of your personality, your gifts, your talents, your challenges, everything. So that's that first 10 minutes. Do you ever listen to that one?
I haven't gone back recently, but now I want to, now that you've brought it up. Yeah.
You honestly, I tell everyone, like it's people like you are very frequent. Most of my clients are quite frequent, but there's the odd one that's only like once a year or 3 or 4 times a year. And and even the very first time, if a client, I go, you don't have to ever have a reading again with me, but the first one that you have, listen to it over and over again. And if I'm predicting 1 year ahead, sometimes it's 5 years ahead, depending on, because what's going on now could be related to something that's 5 years from now. So I feel like I need to talk about that as well. Listen to it over and over again along your journey, because first of all, you hear it differently as a third party when you're listening and you're not in the midst of a conversation. And you hear it differently every time you listen to it, just like a movie. You see things you didn't see before. And also, if you listen to it during the dates that I mentioned, it will mean 100 times more to you then than it did when I said it.
That's true.
Right. And although you have a very, very good memory, I remember that about your chart, it's still good to get that. And there's an energy about
Hmm.
it as well, because I'm not just talking to you and me and my, your birth chart. And there's another entity, there's another energy that's there that's speaking to me as well. So that energy is there when you're listening to it again. So just a shout out to everybody. If you're a client of mine, listen to your readings again.
No, I definitely need to. I think also where I'm at now in my life, I think it'll be really helpful at this point to go back and listen to.
Okay. When's
I'm
the
going to do
last
that
time?
today.
What's that?
I'm going to do that today, actually.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The last time we spoke was August.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, maybe we need to get in touch again.
I think we do.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, so what would you have to say to anyone listening? Is there any advice, words of wisdom, confirmation that you can give
Yeah.
them?
I think the first thing that comes to me right now is just about authenticity and trusting your
Hmm.
gut. I think for me, that was something way back when I was just really scared to step into like myself. And it was just because I just felt that I was so different than others. I felt that I had gifts that others didn't have, and I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to share it. I was just like very afraid to show up as my authentic self. And I think as the years have gone by, that's something that I've stepped into a little bit more each day. So that would definitely be something that I'd love to leave listeners with. That, if you're afraid to step into your authentic self, just doing it a little bit each day will bring you closer to what you need to be. Will bring you closer to where you need to be.
That's
And
key. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And just trusting your gut along the way that, if you get those little nudges of it's like, oh, maybe I should go do this. And you're just like, why would I do that? Just do it. Because that's
Mhm.
like part of the journey of really stepping into yourself.
That reminds me of two things. First of all, just do little baby steps, like just do a little thing every day. A
Yeah.
lot of people have this go big or go home kind of thing. And you're not going to know who your authentic self is until you put your trust yourself into a situation
Hmm.
where you begin that journey. And as you continue the journey, you unfold more and more parts of yourself.
Exactly.
So you have to start somewhere,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of my journey. And I love being a part of yours. And now, anyone watching this, you're a part of their journey. Thank you very much, Janine, for sharing. And I'm going to put our website information below. And don't forget to subscribe and like and follow and all that kind of stuff, guys. And may all your dreams come true and may the stars be with you. Namaste. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was really good. You did a great job. I don't know.
Thanks.
I have a very accurate web connection, but it seemed like I was kind of bouncing around a couple times. Okay, no, that was great. I don't even think I need to edit anything except I always like to put a blurb right at the beginning, and that might be
Hmm.
the dime recognition.
Yeah.
Because that was like
That was just wild.
perfect.
And just to talk about that, like I'm just finding coins everywhere lately. It's not even just dimes. Like lately, I'm just
Mhm.
like, there's a random like loonies somewhere, and I'm like, I don't even have loonies anywhere. Like, where's this coming from?
You just, okay, you're so Canadian. We should have put that on there. What's a loony?
Yeah, no,
I
I've been
know I
finding
had one
coins
that was a
everywhere.
nickel and it's still
Hmm.
sitting there. It's outside my door, my office door here. And it's outside on the ground, on the cement. And it's just
Hmm.
been sitting there. And I was like, oh, you're just a dime. So, I mean, you're just a nickel. Sorry. So I'm just going to ignore you. And it's still there. It's been
Yeah,
like 2 weeks. Now it's flipped over to the
yeah,
other side. I was like, okay, somebody's
yeah.
downgraded themselves to a nickel. Who are you? You're only half here. Who are you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
It's
no,
hard for me because my
yeah,
husband keeps a lot of like change in his pocket.
uh-huh.
And so I don't. I use my
Yeah,
card for everything. I don't use money. I should. Cash is king, right? But he does. So I'm like, oh,
uh-huh.
it's probably his, you know, falling out of his pocket or something.
I have no clue where mine's coming from, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, you should maybe keep track of because you find more than I do. Like, what does a dime mean? What does a nickel mean? What does a
That's
quarter mean?
true.
What does a loonie mean?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, good point. I'll do that.
because it could be messages for you, like somebody's really trying to throw them at you, and you're dodging them by going, "Oh, look at this, a nickel." But it
Yeah,
could be something.
that's true.
And it might be if you're in the midst of trying to make more money, scale your business.
Hmm.
It could be message around that. That's what I just got.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because that's definitely where I'm at. So,
Here you go.
yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
definitely
kind of
where
the
I'm at.
message I just got. So maybe it's like you need to add more money, take away some money. It's hard to
Yeah.
in one area and add, jump up your prices in another area or
Yeah,
spend the money.
I've actually been getting that a lot. Like I've been getting this feeling I'm like I think things need to be more like I need to charge more. Like I've
Yeah,
been getting that message a lot, but I haven't like really sat and thought about it.
yeah,
So, yeah, I'm kind of feeling that.
yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. You got a little teeny weeny meeting. Okay, sweetie, I gotta get going. Thanks a
Okay.
lot. And
Thank
I'll let
you.
you know. This will be up in the next couple of days, but I'll let you
Okay.
know in an email when it's up.
Perfect.
Okay, hon. Take
Okay,
care.
take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.